Good to have you with us on this Saturday edition of Ed Schultz News and Commentary. There has clearly been an awful lot in the news that is almost unbelievable. We have never been through an election cycle like this with both parties trying to seek the White House with such flawed candidates. Now, I have said in the past that I'm going to vote for Hillary Clinton, and that's exactly the way it's going to come down. And I think that this election, as I've said all along, is very personal to a lot of people. And what Donald Trump has done and what has been uncovered in his past, whether you want to believe it or not, the tape is the tape. And he was recorded. And now people have to make a judgment. I think women in this country are making a judgment that they can't vote for this guy. But all that aside, which I think is terrible, obviously, and every man in his life has made a mistake. But we're talking about the presidency of the United States. Just on policy alone, I don't need to have any honky-tonk news. I don't have to have any sidebar stuff, just on policy alone. Now, there's a couple of comments that have been made by Paul Ryan and Hillary Clinton that I think are very important. Hillary Clinton said on the Ellen DeGeneres show that she doesn't want to take anything for granted. I'll tell you what, they need to put that up in headlines all over the world. The other thing was that Paul Ryan was speaking to Republicans in Wisconsin yesterday, and he said, you know what happens if we lose the Senate? You know who's going to be in charge of the Senate Budget Committee? A guy named Bernie Sanders. Have you ever heard of him? That and the Supreme Court is enough to motivate elected officials to go out and tell their people everything's going to be okay with Donald Trump. And I think that there is a whisper campaign within the Republican Party that we got to support this guy no matter what, because there's so much at stake. Boehner said it on Fox News earlier this week that it's as bad as it gets, but you know, he wants the Supreme Court. He wants conservatives on the Supreme Court, and the next president is going to play a major role in that, obviously, with maybe 3 or 4 opportunities presented to him over the next 4 or 8 years. And they also know what Bernie Sanders' priorities are when it comes to the budget. Now, what doesn't get a lot of attention is that the chairman of the Budget Committee in the Senate has a tremendous amount of power. That's the senator that has to release the funds, that can hold a lot of stuff up. So the Republicans, as far as finance is concerned, isn't going to get anything they want unless they deal with Bernie Sanders. And that's why Ryan is saying that. So those two issues alone, without all the Donald Trump honky-tonk news, should be enough for common sense Americans to make the case to vote for Hillary Clinton. Let me share something very personal with you. If you have followed my career and my family, you know that we have been battling cancer for the last 5 years. It's ovarian cancer. My wife still has it. We're still going through a lot. She's one tough girl. But on policy, a personal note. Last month, Wendy's health care bill was $29,000. If we had not had insurance, and if we have months like that accumulate, I'll go broke. I mean, the very thing that I fought for when I first got into the national media was universal health care, and went down the road of the Affordable Care Act big time, spent hours and hours on it on the television shows. So now I'm living it. If Donald Trump is elected president, he will get rid of Obamacare, which means that the insurance companies will have all the power. They will drop people with pre-existing conditions. They will drop people with high medical bills. And who knows how much we've spent on my wife over the last 5 years. But I can tell you last month, the month of September, it was $29,000. Thank God we have insurance, and thank God that the vast majority of it was paid by the insurance company. If Hillary Clinton is elected president, I know that burden is going to be lifted off my shoulders financially, that we're going to have some security. The Affordable Care Act isn't just about poor people getting insurance. It isn't just about the expansion of Medicare. It's folks like me, a guy who came from the middle class, who's had some success in the media and is having a good life down the stretch. I'm in my 60s. But I'm going to do everything I possibly can to keep my wife alive, and that means that I will forfeit everything I've ever worked for to make sure that happens with no security, because if Trump is elected and gets rid of Obamacare, which they voted in the House I don't know how many times to get rid of, and he says that's the first thing he'll do when he is elected, get rid of Obamacare, then that makes my family's security extremely vulnerable. So I don't care if 1,000 women come out. I mean, I think it's terrible, but those aren't the stories I'm looking for. I'm looking for the policy. I'm looking for, how does this affect me? And I think when you bring it down to that, the Supreme Court, women's rights, equal rights, civil rights, workers' rights, and then you bring it to the affordable health care being restored and strengthened under Clinton, I think it's a pretty easy decision. Ed Schultz News and Commentary, brought to you by Communication Workers of America, Alliance for American Manufacturing, BioGreen Clean, and the iSave team. We're back tomorrow.